Hello, Mr. Chu here with my 52-week success challenge. 5 weeks ago, I challenged you in a video to take a 52 success challenge with me. Let's talk about why I did this and what I plan to gain from it. So about 30 years ago, I stumbled upon a book written by Napoleon Hill. The book was called Think and Grow Rich. It was a book that he'd written that took him about 20 years to complete, where Andrew Carnegie had paid his expenses while he interviewed successful people. So he was trying to figure out if there was any similarities between all these successful people. In other words, was there a formula for success, a pathway, something that you could follow the rules and be successful? So I interviewed Andrew Carnegie, who happened to be one of the richest people of the time. He also interviewed Henry Ford, John Wanamaker, Ben Franklin, and many others. I read that book from cover to cover, and I was convinced that it was true. Everything in there was true. The problem that I had was, even though I believed it all, I didn't have the discipline to follow through. 10 years after I had first read the book, and in between going back to it and rereading it from time to time, I purchased a second book that Hill and W. Clement Stone, who was his manager, wrote. And here's the actual copy that I did buy, and I have, and I open it up and I read it all the time, and that's what I'm using now for our information for these weekly entries. It's called Napoleon Hill's A Year of Growing Rich, 52 Steps to Achieving Life's Rewards. Now, where did this book come from? Well, it came from little anecdotes and stories from his original thing, but they were actual articles that Stone and Hill created a magazine that printed up and offered to subscribers little stories to help them keep on track to their success journey. So they took 52 of them and they printed them up in this book. They encourage people to read them and look through them each day during the week, read over them, write them down, try to put those stories into your life so that you can start emulating success. Stone ended the foreword that he'd written to this book with this quote, and I'm quoting Stone from the book, quote, "If you follow the formula that Napoleon Hill outlined, you'll discover, as millions of others have already discovered, that truly the only limitations you have are those that you set up in your own mind," unquote. So if you haven't followed these steps, these are the things we've talked about in earlier videos. Week 1, set your goals. Memorize them. Make sure you believe that that is the path you're going down. Making a plan was week 2. And then don't allow any negative outside interference. Why? Because you own your own mind. Those other people that are putting you down are doing it because it is not their goal. Week 3, we talked about being original. Original like Henry Ford, who allowed every person in the country, in the United States, to own an automobile if they wanted to. He made that possible. He also changed production on the production line with his automation. And then John Wanamaker changed retail. He's the person that allowed you to go into a store and see a price tag. They didn't used to have price tags on things. He also changed the way advertisement was done by businesses. Week 4, we ask you to emulate success. And so be positive like successful people instead of being negative like those that aren't successful. And then we had a whole list of things. Week 5, we told you to embrace productive struggle, because when you struggle to reach a goal, it's going to make that goal more worthwhile. And now in week 6, we're going to ask you to be sincere. Now I'm going to give you an example of one of the stories that Hill and Stone talked about in the 52-week series. They said, when you're being sincere, make sure you provide value to your brand. in the story is a woman named Martha Berry. Martha Berry was a lady who decided that she was going to found a school in Georgia for some of the mountain kids. They were underprivileged. She needed money to help the school survive. And so who do you think she went to? She went to Henry Ford because he was a philanthropist that would help some people. And she asked him, could you give me money to help these people? He refused. Instead of accepting no for an answer, she asked Ford a question that amused him. She said, if you're not going to give me money to help these mountain kids, could you please give me a bushel of peanuts? He thought it was an unusual request, so he did it. She took the peanuts and her students and planted them. After they harvested them that first year, they replanted them. And she continued this process until she'd made a profit and was able to go back to Ford for a second meeting. He was so impressed that he said, if you could do this just in a matter of a couple of years, I'm going to provide your school with equipment and tractors and harvesting equipment so that you can become self-sufficient. And they did, and her school was able to support itself just from that bushel of beans that Ford donated to her. Martha Berry was sincere in her beliefs. She refused to succumb to Ford's refusal to give her money, and she took and moved forward with her goals. So what will you do? How can you use this? To achieve your goals, you need to provide a good or a service that offers customers value. Don't just do everything like everyone else. That's not going to allow you to achieve your dreams. Develop a plan and refuse to succumb to failure. So I want you to make sure that these 6 things that we've talked about, you've done. If you haven't, sit down and do it now. I've already done it. Set your goals, memorize them, make a plan. Don't allow the negative to interfere. Be original. Make sure you offer something for your brand. Emulate success. Be positive. Have productive struggle that you embrace so that everything that you reach as a goal is worthwhile. And then make sure you're sincere, provide value, and don't give up like Martha Berry did never give up. If you missed any of my earlier videos, there's going to be a link that comes up on this side of the screen. And you'll be able to click on that first week if you'd like to see it, if you missed out on it. Then there'll be a link down here that will have a playlist with all 6 of my videos in it. I'm Mr. Chu, and I challenge you to be successful in 2024. I'll see you next week when we continue a year of growing rich. Make sure you click first video and click on the playlist. See you next time.